Hello, dear friends. Father Jame's surprise wedding decision. After the attack, Father Jame sat silently in the living room. Face heavy with thought, he looked into the bedroom, where Diep is being cared for by the doctor. She took a stick for him, and that shocked him. That little girl, the person he once disapproved of, willing to sacrifice to protect him. In that moment he realized he was wrong. Wrong when blocking grown and the Diep. Wrong to let prejudices overshadowed his son's true love. He sighed and stood up. It's time for him to make things right. James sat beside the bed, holding Diep's hand tightly. She was still weak, breathing softly, but her face was pale. He felt his heart tight. She suffered so much because of him. I'm so stupid, James whispered sadly. Father Jame walked by. Seeing that scene made me feel even more guilty. He whispered, James. James looked up with cold eyes. Do you still want to stop me? And her father James was silent for a moment, then shook his head. I was wrong. James was surprised. He didn't expect his father to admit that. Father James came forward and put his hand on his son's shoulder. Diep risked his life to save me. I can't stop you two anymore. James looked at his father with an indescribable feeling in his heart. His father continued speaking. I want to make amends. I will organize a wedding for the two of us. James was stunned. I never thought my father will be the one to take the initiative to make this decision. Looked at father, then looked at the Diep lying on the bed. James held her hand tightly, his eyes determined. I promise to protect her for life. Father James nodded, his eyes filled with regret and love. A week after Diep recovered, James took her to a luxurious villa. Diep was surprised. What are we doing here? James smiled unexpectedly for her. When the door opened, Diep's eyes widened in surprise. The interior is lavishly decorated with white flowers and soft yellow lights. Friends, relatives, and James were all present. Diep turned to the game, still not understanding what was going on. James took her hand and said gently, Father has arranged this wedding for us. Diep was stunned and tears suddenly flowed out. She didn't think that one day Father James accepted her guy and personally organized this wedding. James wiped away the tears on her cheeks and whispered, Will you be my wife? Diep looked at him, then looked at his father person, smiling lovingly. She nodded and smiled brightly. I agreed. Applause echoed throughout the villa. James hugged her and whispered in her ear, From now on, I will not let anyone hurt you anymore. Diep nodded and hugged James tightly. Finally, after all the storms, they can be together forever. James attended Diep's wedding. Took place in a warm and happy atmosphere. Father James changed his attitude. He no longer objected, but also actively organized a grand wedding to demonstrate his acceptance. But on the wedding day, when the toasts were still ringing, an unexpected phone call broke the happy atmosphere. James held the phone, his eyes immediately darkened. Who is it? Diep asked wordily. I gritted teeth, cold voice. He is John. Everyone was silent. The name Joe. Always a specter that threatens their lives. From the other end of the line came John's mocking laughter. Congratulations on your wedding, James. But it seems you were so happy that you forgot that I was still there. Still here. James clenched his phone and coldly replied, Hey, what do you want? John sneered. I just want to remind you that this game is not over. I lost everything because of you. And now it's your turn to pay." James felt a surge of anger. He looked at Diep, who was still worriedly observing Joe. "If you dare touch anyone in my family, I will not forgive you," John laughed. "I'll let you enjoy your sweet honeymoon. But don't forget that I still have one last card," said, and hung up. James clenched his phone, his eyes cold. After the wedding, Father James called him into the study. "Dad has something to tell you." James sat down with a serious look in his eyes. "What's the matter, Dad?" His face was gloomy for a moment, then he sighed. "John is not just a business enemy. There is a truth that you do not know. Our family had a very complicated relationship with his family." "John, what do you mean, Father?" His father said slowly, "Many years ago, our family bought a large piece of land to build industrial parks. But that land originally belonged to John's family. John's father objected vehemently, but was eventually forced to leave. That's why John always carries deep hatred in his heart." James was silent. "I did not expect that. This hatred stems from his family's past," Father James continued. "John didn't just want revenge on his son. He wants our family to pay. He may not stop here." James clenched his fist. "I will not let him hurt my family." Father James looked at him with worried eyes. "You have to be careful. He can use any trick." Just as Father James predicted, John did not give up. One day when Diep went to the market, she felt someone was following her. She turned back but saw no one. But as she entered a small alley, a strong hand grabbed her from behind. Diep panicked and struggled, but it was too late. An anesthetic towel was pressed against her face, and just seconds later, she completely lost consciousness. When James received the news, he almost went crazy. He rushed to the scene, but it was too late. Diep was kidnapped. "In your phone." John's cold voice rang out. "Are you willing to give up everything to save your wife?" James clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot. He swore to protect the leaf at all costs. And now it's time for him to face John once and for all. James ran out of the car without hesitation. This time, he couldn't let the devil control his life anymore. Sitting next to James's best friend is also a former military officer. Put your hand on his shoulder. "Calm down, James. We need a plan. If you keep rushing, you might fall into his trap." I took a deep breath and tried to control my anger. "I can't let the Diep be in danger this time. I will end it all." Tongue nodded. I asked someone to locate John's phone number. He was in an abandoned warehouse by the river. James pedaled away. In an old warehouse, the leads were tied to a chair, surrounded by Tunga's eyes full of evil. Trembling slowly walked towards him, still with a sinister smile on his lips. "How about Diep? Do you regret choosing James too?" Diep was scared but still held her head high. "Do you think doing that can make me give up on him? You are wrong." John laughed and sat down across from her. "I just want to play a game now. Sit there and wait for your husband to come save you." He took out his phone and called James. "James, you have two options. One is to hand over all your family's assets to me. Two is never see your wife again." James gritted his teeth. "Do you think I will compromise with you?" John smiled faintly. "I don't need you to believe me, but I want to see what you will do." When he saw her in danger, he raised his hand to signal to a guy. I took the knife and approached the leaf. James, you have 5 minutes to decide. James had no time to think. When his car stopped in front of the warehouse, Tung and a group of people were ready. My team will handle the break. You just need to focus on saving the Diep. James nodded with determination as the gunshot rang out. Tung group fired into the air to distract the thugs. The guards ran in panic. James quickly sneaked inside to look for Diep. James, I'm here too. Diep's voice echoed from the corner of the room. When he saw her tied up, his eyes flashed with anger. No one can hurt me, he rushed forward. But John stood in front of James. Don't rush, I'm not done playing yet. He pulled out a gun and pointed it straight at the game. But James was not afraid. He walked slowly towards Joe. I have put up with you for too long. This time I will end it all. John pulled the trigger, but before he could pull it, a bullet came from behind. John staggered, his hand hanging loose. Tung stepped out from behind. The gun in his hand was still smoking. Your game is up, Joe. The police raided and tied up all the thugs. John was handcuffed, his face pale. James ran to untie Diep. She burst into tears and hugged him. I thought I would never see you again. He hugged her tightly. I promise to protect you, and I always will. After John was convicted of a series of crimes, James and Diep finally can live a peaceful life. At James's mansion, his father looked at the two people, eyes full of regret and love. Father used to object to two children, but now I understand that love cannot be forced or divided. He put one hand on James's shoulder and the other onto Diep's shoulder. Dad wants to have a real wedding for the two of you. James and Diep looked at each other with happy smiles on their lips. Finally, after all the storms, they could hold hands and go through life together. What will they get next? Will be in the next part. Thank you for watching the video. Wish you good health.